So today we're located between Fersk and York, top side of York, just trying to gather up the last of the AD maize. As you can see, ground conditions are still fairly good with us, which we've been pretty lucky with. I know over at home, over with you boys, it's a fair bit wetter, and down south we've got it wet, and up Scotland we've got it wet. But to be fair, this maize season we've had it quite good, to be fair. Ground conditions have got fairly good. So this maize here, it's going into a digester just down the road. In total in this digester we'll have put just shy of 600 acre in. So we're into the last, well, 60 acre today to go into the plant. No, so this digester we're in at the moment, basically they buy it per tonne off the local farmers. So as you can see, this maize, it's a little bit greener as this stuff. So this is a certain farmer, he's been contracted to grow it on his land. We come in and harvest it, and then the digester pay him for his maize. It's a good way of doing it. The only problem is sometimes it can be a bit of hassle for us, because you can have some farmers who'll get on early drilling on some light land, and then such as this up here on this top in this heavier land is obviously held off because the land was wet and it's been drilled 3 or 4 weeks after like some of the earlier stuff, so you get a bit of variety from starting and finishing, but it just is what it is. You have to take a week out if you have to wait for maize to ripen a bit more. But to be fair, this up here, it's on some higher ground, so it just isn't just as high. But no, there's been some very good crops about this year. This will be probably averaging 16, 17 tonne, but we've been doing some big 20, 22 tonne crops down on the lower land, on the sandy land. Ideally, I'd like to give this another week, but just with the weather looking dodgy over the weekend, farmers wanting to get wheat back in the ground, we just sort of take it. Over the whole scheme of it all, it'll average out. The average dry matter will average out throughout the clamp, and it'll be like. The boys in the digester, yeah, they have a good say in it, but also it's just common sense really. If you have a weather window there and your dry matter just isn't perfect, you can just crack on, just get on. But yeah, if you sit and wait for it to hit that perfect sweet spot, then you could be waiting ages, or you could miss it because of a weather window. To be fair, this maize season's been a doddle, to be fair. The weather's been on our side, but last year wasn't too bad, to be fair. We weren't so bad, but when I was on the forager 3 or 4 years ago, I had 2 really bad maize seasons. We were leaving fields here, there and everywhere, and so you just sort of got to go with your gut and just take it when you think it's right, even if it doesn't look perfectly right on paper. Yeah, so this year our maize acres are fairly well up this year, and that's just coming down to, because we had such a wet spring, folk couldn't get corn in the ground, so they were struggling, so they just all opted to put maize in, obviously getting it planted later, end of May, June, quite a lot of this went in. That's probably why it's hanging on a bit green really, because it's a bit too late for maize really. But then you can have some years, our maize acreage will be really down because the previous year to that, we had a really bad time. Farmers got sick of us chewing fields up, not getting it, still selling the crop and losing money. So the next year they've maybe opted to put so many more acres of whole cropping or so. But then like this year, I can imagine this year we had such a good year, it's been a good cropping year, tons are coming off the fields grand. I have a feeling next spring folk will be wanting to put more maize in because we've had such a good year this year.
Yeah, so it's the middle of October, we're getting on fairly well with the maize harvest. Lads are away down doing an AD plant as we speak. I think hopefully by the end of this week we should have everything wrapped up, I'm hoping. We've got a little bit of drilling following on some maize ground. We should have that in the ground. It's showing rain on the forecast for Friday, so I'm hoping that we'll have that done tomorrow. We did grow our own maize up until about 6 years ago, but we had 2 bad years. First year the wind got it about 10 days prior to harvest, flattened probably 50% of it. And then the following year it got too wet and we struggled to harvest it, so we'd seen enough of it really. So we stopped growing it, and then maybe a couple of other customers sort of followed suit. And we're just a bit too high up really here to sort of suit maize ground. Yeah, there's very little grown under plastic. It's sort of more out west you'll see it than around here. Yeah, we just have one forager set up for maize, just run the one. We do sometimes get a second header and processor if we get behind with weather and whatnot, but it works quite well just to leave one set up for grass, because it's surprising how much grass we do once the maize harvest starts. Sort of getting the last of the multi-cut systems, like they're doing the 5th, rarely do a 6th cut. but it does happen from time to time. We're on a 10-row Orbis class. We've been 10-row maize header for, well, since we went on to the 980s and then on to the 990s, but it seems a good header for us. We could go 12, but we change it every 2 years. Class Eastern seem to like the 10s. I think they'll maybe sell a bit better than the 12 rows. Generally, I think season's gone well. I mean, we had a wet sort of start and it dragged on, and then as it got into harvest, it seemed to come right, and we had a wet spell or two through the middle of harvest, but that probably helped us in one way because it kept combines out of the field. We weren't trying to cut corn that wasn't just quite right. But generally, I don't think it's gone too bad, and drilling hasn't gone too bad either. Got made of it in the ground in good fettle. These last sort of 10 days, it's just come a bit wet really, but we've managed to get on okay.
Yeah, so while we're in this block, we're pulling straight out onto a main road, and it's just a bit heavy bodied land today, so we're just pulling a bit of muck out onto the road. So just keep on top of a road with a brush, and then as soon as we finish this block, I'll probably have a ride up to the other AD plant, see how them boys are getting on. Probably get some side sheets put up in the next clamp for them, so they're ready to go. And then back down here to probably start sheeting 2 big clamps up, which it's a bit of breeze about today, which I'm not really looking forward to. And I'm on my own, so try and pull a few lads in from somewhere. So these last, well, month or so, it's been a bit on and off really. We had maybe 2 really busy weeks at Maize, where lads will be doing flat out 6 till 11 o'clock at night, day in, day out. And then we sort of quietened off for a week while we were waiting for some maize to ripen. So we're very flexible really. Like then that quiet week, all lads get the opportunity to have a few days off at home, because they do all work very hard, and we do see that and we do appreciate it. So if lads want it off, we'll try and promote it really when we're quiet. There's no point having them in the yard kicking their feet about, as long as we're all up to date with maintenance and that, and lads may as well be at home, go do a bit of shopping. But it's handy, like, because majority of these lads on now live on site. If they can come in for a couple of hours, do a bit of servicing up, and then they can go back into the house for the rest of the day, or go have a couple of hours dinner or something and then bob back out. So we're finding it more and more nowadays with staff. You've got to be very flexible with them, because it keeps them all happy. As long as you're flexible with them, they'll be look after you really. So we've got a lad from Wales, an Irish lad, a couple of lads from out near the borders in Scotland, and yeah, we sort of find them, they come from wherever really, but we have a good few local lads. We have a good few local lads which will just come as and when we need them, sort of. They're happy to stop at home, work on the family farm, and then they'll come to us maybe three days a week or something when we're busy, and get a bit extra money in, and then, like I say, when we're a bit quieter, we can keep them going if they want to keep going, or if they want to spend some time at home working on the family farm. It's totally up to them really, but yeah, flexibility is key really. No, they're all a very tight bunch of lads. To be fair, we've been very fortunate this year. We kept a lot of lads on from last season, which is it's a big sigh of relief, because come to spring and you start taking 5, 6, 7 new lads on. They're all to train up, we're all to keep an eye on. But this year we're very fortunate that a lot of the lads that were on with us last year wanted to stop the winter, a couple went home and then came back in spring when slurry kicked off again. But no, in a whole general, they are a tight bunch of lads. Like, if they're not working together, they'll be in the pub together, or they'll be faffing about with their cars in the workshop or something together. Makes it a lot easier really, because not having to babysit them out, it's just so much easier to sort of manage, if you get me. Yeah, tractors have been good. Few teething problems, which we get every year really. We're swapping them every year. We sort of get all the teething problems out of the way before we go to the next owner at 1700 hours, which is a bit, can be a bit of a nightmare at times. But no, this year tractors have been good. You're always going to have problems. If someone tells me they don't a brand of tractor which you don't have problems with, they're lying. You're going to have problems with bits and bobs, with everything. Well, a lot of them, to be fair, is just oil pipes coming loose, just not being nipped up, silly little things like that. No big issues, or little bits of sensors giving you bother. Like, nothing, like, if we're running tractors with 6,000–7,000 hours, you'd be looking more at gearboxes and stuff like that. We're looking more like oil pipes coming loose, and we had one the other day, it blew the main hydraulic pipe and emptied all its back end oil out. Just little stuff like that. It's not an issue, but it's just can be frustrating at times, just little tiggly things. Like, you can soon lose 2 hours to a loose oil fitting because you've got to nip it up, and then you've got to go get 5 drums of oil, and just little bits like that. Forage has been very good, yeah. Them new 990s animals haven't had any bother with it really. Any little bits of bother, obviously we've got Eastern Cinderby at just up the road, and their service and backup is next to nothing. Like, it's unreal. Always look after us. Well, no, the forager, yeah, been a really good machine to us, that one. No bother at all, and like I say, little bits and niggles that we've had with it. Eastern Cinderby have been on the game, got us going straight away. So the foragers we keep for 2 years, so that forager was new this year. That'll then go to the second machine next year, and we'll get a new one to replace that one. Run them to, we'll get 1,700 hours on with us over the 2 years. Obviously the first year will be the hardest year for him running with the first team, putting probably 1,000 to 1,200 hours on. And then the second year drops back to the second team, putting maybe 500 to 600 hours on, something like that maybe. Yeah, so down at the plant, everything's bought per tonne, so everything goes over the weighbridge. Every last stalk of maize goes over the weighbridge for us to get paid and the farmer to get paid for his crop off the field. Down at the AD plant, we've sort of got 2 pits running at the moment. We've filled one full, and then we've had to move into one of the rye clamps, which was sort of earmarked for chicken litter, but with the maize crop being so well, so I had to take all of that. So, and now we're sort of tickling between both, just trying to get the last bits in. Next job after this AD plant is the beef farmer next door to the AD plant, so we've got outside sheets ready for there. So literally just be a case of he's going to fold his header up, go 2 mile down the road, drop into a field, and we're going to be chopping at the next job. I have a second shovel part down there, so I can leave Chris, my main buck rate man. He can stay in the AD plant as long as he needs, get titivated up, rolled off properly. I can go jump on our shovel, and I can throw 2–3 hours worth of maize into that clamp while Chris is still in the AD plant, sort of getting going. Little bits like that we like to do, like we won't hesitate to run like an extra piece of machinery, an extra forager to a job, if it means we can just sort of flow a bit smoother, take the pressure off, keeps everyone happy. And rain's forecast for tomorrow, so quicker we can get on and get chopped up, the better really. And if that means us running a 435 down the road for an hour to get moved on to the next one, saving an hour with this team, well, if I pack 5 or 6 tractors and trailers up, forager up for an hour while the butt rate man finishes off, well, that's just money coming back out of our pockets. So maize clamps, it's really nice to clamp his maize, to be fair. It's all, as long as you haven't got it too dry, just at the moment it's just about right. It's packing in solid like it's maize. Don't get me wrong, grass is good to clamp unless you sort of want a bit drier going stuff, but yeah, maize is really nice. Lads love it to buck rake, like, especially with that Falcon push-off buck rake. That thing comes into its own really with maize. You can take a big load, yeah, and then you just up and down. You've got no banging and clattering, just up, push off, back down, you're onto your next. Like, them Smiths, we try and not to run all 3. We have 3 Smith trailers, try not to run them all 3 together, because if you have 3 on this maize, if you get 3 Smiths all in a row within 3 or 4 minutes of each other, they do take a bit of getting rid of the clamp. So we try and mix it up a bit, try and get a couple of Stewarts in between the Smiths, and job seems to flow a lot better. Rule of thumb, we always drop a tractor off and leave a tractor at a job for however long it takes to get rolled off, just to seal it up proper, because your waste's going to be on the top like anything, so the more you roll it, better it's going to be the output. And the amount of money that's going into that pit by buying all this maize, all the harvesting costs and that, the job needs to be right. Can't not be right. A shovel man's worth his weight in gold. A good shovel man, yeah, it's worth his weight in gold. Chris, you'll have seen Chris. He's next to. He's unreal, is Chris. He loves talking to farmers, and every farmer loves that. And he does a really good job. He's a really good asset to us, to be fair. But no, your shovel man, your silage is made in the clamp. I don't care what anyone else says. No matter what happens out here in the field, as long as the crop's right when you're taking it, no matter what happens out here in the field or on the road, it's what he does in the clamp is what makes your silage. So if you have a wrong man on that shovel, it can go south quickly.
No, I think it's gone very well, to be honest, this season. Like I say, weather to start with, that was just a pain. Like first and second cut was hard work, and then once, I don't know, it seemed to sort of come right as the season came on. Yeah, as the seasons go on, I seem to find myself in the office more and more, sorting probably things that I aren't as excited about than getting out in the field and seeing the lads, but it still has to be done. So I'm just on looking forward to next year and looking at ordering tractors and trailers, machinery. A lot of the kit we order year on year, so it's the same spec, it's just a price to change, and you know, but then you might think, actually, do we go, say, trailers, do we go longer trailers, do we go 3-axle, do we go 2-axle? Mowers, a couple of years ago we went slightly wider, they seem to be running. C-Class have brought out, I think it's a 14 rotor tedder, so whether we look at that for this season, but most of the time we're sort of fairly settled on what works, but we do try and change things if we think we can make things work better. We do pick up work year on year, but I don't know, I think we just try and go out and do a good job, and then maybe the next man over, next farmer sees us on and thinks, well, they're doing a good job, and he can't get his contractor when he wants, but so sometimes get a phone call. Yeah, so the AD plants that we do work for, we do quite a lot of work for one particular company, and that's on the back of probably our own AD plant that we've grown quite a good working relationship with them, and they know we can get the job done when they want, and they just more or less leave us to it. For them, we'll do all the grass silaging, rye harvest, maize harvest, look after a lot of the digestate off-site, so that's sort of led in tankers into nurse tanks and spread onto crops or grassland through umbilical.
Yeah, so even though we're coming to the end of the season, you're already thinking about next season, obviously looking at buying new trailers, new tractors, tankers, whatever we're looking at, so it's never ending really, but that's what we're here doing. This is why we do it, because it's sort of in the blood really. I wouldn't like to think that I was going to go home and shut my mind off for 4 months, because I think I'd go insane. I think my lass would go even more insane, to be fair. So no, you're always looking forward to where you're going, what you're at, how many staff we're going to want on in spring, and new lads, job adverts out, and interviewing lads, and looking at new contracts and stuff like that. You're always looking ahead to what's in the close future. If there's anyone watching this, yeah, if you think you fancy having a go and you're not going to cause me a nightmare, then yeah, don't hesitate to get in touch. Like, obviously we have a Facebook page. If you want to message on there, we'll pick it up on there. We're always looking for extra staff. If you look at the growth over these last 6-7 years, from where we've come from to where we are now, it's just on the up. Like I say, we're always taking on new work. We're always looking for new lads to work for us. So yeah, if there is anyone out there that fancies a go with this sort of tight-knit sort of team, then yeah, don't hesitate to get in touch.